The second part of the piano keyboard assignment is probably the more difficult part. At least students seem to have a terrible time with this. And that has to do with semitones and tones, constructing tones. So we need to understand and review the first part. When you go from a white key to a black key, that's a semitone. From a black key to an adjacent white key, that's a semitone. Now the only two places that is not the case is between E and F, where there is no black key. Between E and F, that's a semitone. And between B and C, that's a semitone. Otherwise, when you go from a white key to an adjacent black key, from a black key to an adjacent white key, that is a semitone. Semi, we already talked about, means half. Therefore, if we want a tone, then we need two semitones will equal then a tone. A whole tone, in other words, is what it's also called. So remember that. So therefore, what we need to understand is that two semitones equals one tone. And like I said, which also could be called a whole tone. It's the same thing. Okay? So that means then that if I go from C to C sharp, that's a semitone. From C sharp to D, that's a semitone. Therefore, if I go from C to D, then that's two semitones, which means it's equal to a tone. So C to D is a tone. D to D sharp is a semitone. D sharp to E, that's a semitone. So therefore, from D to E is also a tone. From E to F, well, that's only a semitone because there's no black key in between. So therefore, if I wanted to go a tone above the note E, then E to F is a semitone, F to F sharp is a semitone, so therefore two semitones make a tone. Therefore, from E to F sharp, that is a tone. There's always exceptions when you're working with these things. So therefore, you could conclude then, as long as there's a black key in between two white keys, that will be a tone. So C to D is a tone. D to E is a tone. There's a black key in between. F to G is a tone. G to A is a tone because there's a black key between them. A to B is a tone. However, from the note B to C, that is only a semitone. So a tone above B would be C sharp. Now that means then that if you start on the note C sharp, then from C sharp to D, that is a semitone. From D to D sharp, that's a semitone. So if you go from C sharp to D sharp, that would be then a tone. One semitone, two semitones, that's a tone. So from a black key to an adjacent black key, that's a tone. Therefore, from F sharp to G sharp would be a tone. From G sharp to A sharp would be a tone. However, if we were going from A sharp, otherwise known as B flat, and we were going up, then the note C would be a tone. Because from B flat to B is a semitone, to C is another semitone. Two semitones make a tone. Now if we're going backwards, C to B is a semitone, to B flat would be a tone. So C to B flat going down would be a tone. B flat to A flat, that would be a tone. A flat to G flat would be a tone. From G flat, okay, otherwise known as F sharp, to F would be a semitone, to E would be a tone. Now I'll explain that as well. The one thing that you need to understand as a general rule of thumb is that a sharp must always go to either a natural note or another sharp. It can go to one of them. It cannot go to a flat. A sharp cannot go to a flat. A flat can either go to a natural or it can go to another flat, but it cannot go to a sharp. A flat cannot go to a sharp. Remember that. Now, with that in mind then, in the assignment it says, write a tone, whole tone, it probably says, above the following notes. And the first one, I already did it for you in the assignment. But here's the secret. Your first step to doing this correctly is write the note above. One note only. Don't go jumping to the next line, that's two notes. When you go from a line, the next note up is going to be in a space. If it's on a line, it'll be in the next space. If it's in a space, it'll be the next line. If it's on a line, it'll be the next space. And do that for every question that says a tone above. Write the next note above. Do that first. Don't worry about all the accidentals or whether it's a tone or not right at the moment. The first step is write the note above first. So if it's on a line, next space. Line, next space. Space, next line. Now we have to go to the process. We go to our piano keyboard to help us. So the note is E, and it has to be to F something. So E to F is a semitone. Therefore, to make it a tone, we have to go E to F and then F to F sharp. That would be a tone because a tone is equal to two semitones. 1, 2. So from E to F sharp. That would be a tone. Now notice I have to write it, the sharp first and then the note. And it must be in the same space or same line as the note I'm trying to indicate. The next one, this is G sharp. So we find it on our piano. There's G sharp. Now G sharp to A is a semitone. To A sharp would then be a tone. From G sharp to A sharp is a tone. Now you could write the note B flat. It's the same note, but if you did that, you'd have a sharp going to a flat. You cannot write that. It has to be A sharp. It must be the next note up. Well, the next note is called A, so it has to be A something. Okay? If you went to B, that's two notes up. That's no longer a tone. Just be aware of that. Just remember, sharp goes to a sharp or a natural, one or the other. Look at our next example. It's A flat. Well, here's the note A flat. A tone up would be A or A sharp. But we know two things. One, it flat has to go to a flat. So we can't call it A sharp. We have to call it B flat. So A flat to B flat is a tone. And the other thing, if you notice here, is this is the note A. One note up is B. So it has to be B something. So A flat to B flat. That is a tone. Look on your piano keyboard. A flat to B flat. Yes, it is a tone. There's one semitone, two semitones. So therefore, it is a tone. And then B flat. The note B flat is right here. So to B is a semitone. To C would be a tone. Therefore, if you notice, it's from B flat, the next note up is the note C. We don't have to do anything. From B flat to C is a tone. Now, if you still find that confusing, again, review it. Review this video over again. Listen to it again. Look at the piano keyboard for yourself. Have it in front of you as I'm explaining it to you so that you can see it, so that you can view it yourself in order to be able to figure this out. This is absolutely fundamental for every assignment which now follows afterward. You have to know what a tone is and what a semitone is. You need to know how to construct a tone and a semitone for everything which follows after this assignment. So if it says write a tone below, well, everything we just talked about is the same, but in reverse. So as an example, and remember, the same thing applies, that if I tell you it's a sharp, well then it's either going to go to a natural or a sharp. Can't go to a flat. Even when you're going down, if it's a sharp you're starting on, it must either end on a natural or another sharp. Cannot be a flat. And the same thing for a flat. It has to go to a natural or to a flat. It cannot go to a sharp. Okay, so remember that. That is so imperative. So if I have the note E, and it says write a tone below the note E. So I take a look here. A tone below E, well that's pretty simple, it's going to be D. Remember we said that a tone between white key, as long as there's a black key in between the two, then it's a tone. Because from E to E flat is a semitone, to D is two semitones, so two semitones makes a tone. So a tone below E is just the note D. We don't have to do anything. Next one. If I said, okay, what's a tone below B? Or C, sorry. Well, you always write the next note down. So if it's on a space, it'll be the next line down. If it's on a space, next line down. Okay? If it's on a line, or a space, sorry, then it'd be the next line. I do that a lot, don't I? If it's on a line, then it's going to be the next space down. Okay? If it's on a line, it's going to be the next space down. I want to do one more example on the board. And that is that if it's on a line, then it's going to be the next space down. If it's on a space, next line. If it's on a line, the next space down. I just do that right away before worrying about what sharp or flat I need to put on it. We've already done the first one. E to D, as we pointed out, is a tone. The next example, this is the note C. And I want to know what a tone is. Well, I know it's going to be B something. So tone below C. C to B is a semitone. B flat is another semitone. So two semitones makes a tone. So tone from C is the note B flat. Remember I told you it had to be B something because that's the next note. We can't write A sharp because then that would be here, which is two notes down, not one. It's the next note, whatever that note is, and then we have to decide whether we have an accidental to it or not. Tone below B flat. Well, look at our piano keyboard. Here's the note B flat. B flat to A is a semitone. To A flat is two semitones. Therefore, from B flat to A flat is a tone. And we also talked about that when you go from a black key to an adjacent black key, that's a tone. Black key to an adjacent black key, that's a tone. All right? From white key to a white key, that's a tone. Either way, as long as there's a black key in between, that'll be a tone. All right, so therefore from B flat to A flat, that's a tone. Next one. The note is F sharp, and we're going to E something to make it a tone below. Well, here's F sharp. To F is a semitone. To E is another semitone because there's no black key in between. So therefore from F sharp to E is a tone. Well then guess what? We don't have to do anything. It's already done. F sharp to E is already a tone. And the final example, as you saw here, it can go to a flat, could go to a sharp, one or the other. Most cases when you're going down, it won't do that. But here's the note G sharp. Well then let's find it. There's G sharp. To G is a semitone. To G flat is a tone. But two things. One, we cannot go from a sharp name to a flat name. We already talked about that. And here is that if this is G sharp, it's the next note down. So it's going to be F something. Well, in this case, F sharp. So therefore, from G sharp to F sharp is a tone down. Now again, in the beginning, that's going to be confusing. So please make sure you review this video over and over again until you understand the concept of tones. A tone above, a tone below. Understand the concept that if you go from a white key to a white key with a black key in between, that's going to be a tone. Either way. If you go from a black key to a black key with a white key in between, they're adjacent to each other, beside each other, that's a tone. From that black key to that black key is a tone. That black key to that black key is a tone. From this white key to this white key is a tone because there's a black key in between. Understand that concept. The exceptions are right here between E and F because there is no black key. So from E to F sharp is a tone. From G flat to F flat is a tone. Now that's a tricky one, so you better look at that one just to understand. Okay, and that is what you need to know for the assignment on the piano keyboard and the construction of tones and semitones. And once again, remember, a sharp has to go to either natural or a sharp. Can't go to a flat. And a flat either goes to a natural or a flat. Cannot go to a sharp. Again, review it. Do your assignment. If you get confused, review the video again. And if you still have problems with it, by all means, come and see one of your music teachers, myself, Mr. Vernon, or Mr. Hutton. And that concludes the lesson on the piano keyboard and the construction of tones and semitones.